All right, what's up, folks? I want to talk about the Lakers versus Nuggets game one. And basically, so the Nuggets won 132 to 126. And after this game, I'm just left confused. I really don't know. This didn't tell me anything. So a lot of times you watch game one, you say, oh, this team's going to win the series. Or you really have a strong feeling leaving game one, sets the tone. This, I feel just confused leaving it for many reasons. So I'm going to try to reason this out and talk about it. Nuggets basically led the entire game, and it did. I will say, when the comeback happened, I made the comment. It never felt like the Lakers were out of it. They were getting outplayed, outscored, I would say is maybe a better word, but they didn't feel like they were going to lose or it was just a blowout. Sometimes you can just say, oh, this game's over. They're not coming back. But they felt like they were in it, even when they were down 20, which is an interesting feeling watching the game. It was a Jokic masterclass, particularly in the first half. I mean, he ends with 34 points, 21 rebounds, and 14 assists. He had like 15 rebounds in the first quarter. I mean, that may be a slight exaggeration, but this guy, it was fun because AD was challenging him. And AD, I really do think he did a decent job defending him. He showed some of his defensive prowess tonight. But I think Davis got a block. I mean, first of all, Mike Breen, Mark Jackson, and Van Gundy, I'm so out on all these announcers. I talked about Doris Burke and Mark Davis. I'm out on all these announcers. These guys were the biggest Lakers fans last night. It drove me crazy. But so they were going crazy after Davis gets a block, just ranting and raving. And it was fun to see Jokic kind of like take on that challenge. And he made just one amazing, amazing pass. But, he made countless of those throughout the night. But it was fun to see him take on Davis and really be like, hey brother, you can't guard me, which that was the case. Now that being said, Davis was not out of the game. Anthony Davis had 40 points last night, and so that's partly where I'm confused here. I really did like what the Lakers did with Davis and LeBron. When LeBron got into post-up situations, it was basically a free bucket every single time, and Davis had a monster game, 40 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks. I mean, this guy, he stayed out of foul trouble for the game. He shot 14 for 23, made all 11 of his free throws. I mean, Davis was on one last night. So it leaves me a little bit confused in the sense that usually when Davis has a game like this, the Lakers win. On the other hand, usually when the Nuggets have a game like they did from Jokic, and all the others played very well last night. KCP had 21 points. Murray had 31, and it felt like he was kind of coasting for some of the game. He wasn't even necessarily. Usually it's Jokic and then Murray. But he was just kind of another guy getting buckets. Porter had 15. I would love to see that guy shoot more, by the way. Gordon had 12. 16 off the bench from Bruce Brown. I mean, so all the others. So usually in a game where the Nuggets play like this, they win big. So that's where I'm kind of confused. They only won by 6. But on the other hand, the Lakers, when they have a game like this from Anthony Davis, and I thought LeBron played very well. Reeves hit a bunch of threes at the end. To cut the game close. And they got a Hachimura. So usually the Lakers win when they get this kind of game. So that's where I'm left confused of like, I have no idea what's going to happen next. As you can see, I'm just spitting out all this stuff. Davis and LeBron, they should have big series, both of them. I think LeBron, it's cool to see a game like this where Davis really takes over and you realize like this, he should be the number one here in LA. I just think he has to convince himself, or somebody has to convince him. But when he plays like this, it's fun to watch. And for LeBron, it's huge because he can kind of take a back seat for, stretches throughout the game, which he really does that now. If you watch, he'll kind of come in and out of the game when he needs to. And it's a way of conserving energy, and it's smart. So, I think LeBron and Anthony Davis should have big series now. Will Davis show up every game? I think that's one of the top two or three points, talking points heading forward in this series is, will Davis show up tonight? And that'll really dictate how the game's going to go. Hachimura, if they can get production, they got 40 points between Hachimura and Reeves. Man, if they can get that from 2 bench players every game, it's going to be a close series. On the other hand, I think what I was really confused watching the game too. I'm like, what went wrong? Because the Nuggets were up big and they were rolling. And I'm like, what went wrong? How did this get to be such a close game? Because I thought at one point the Lakers may come back. They just had all the momentum. And I think, firstly, the Lakers really did play some great defense. And they started to lock in. The Lakers were horrendous in transition. absolutely terrible all night, but particularly in the first half. I mean, it was just some of the worst transition defense we've seen in a little while, certainly in the playoffs. But they locked in the second half, and so I think that played into the game getting closer. I felt like Jokic was a little less assertive in the fourth quarter, and that's kind of what allowed the comeback. I think he was. I mean, all the others. I like to use the term the others for role players on a team. All the others were making their shots, attacking, creating shots for themselves at times. So I think he was a little bit less assertive, and that allowed. I think I remember KCP took one to the hole and missed it, or maybe it was Bruce Brown. But I kind of had a thought like, okay, let's relax here. We don't want to get, because I mean, when you're playing with a 20-point lead, you feel like you can afford to take shots and miss them. So I felt like that played into it. Jokic not as assertive. Lakers did lock down in the half court and limited transition in the fourth quarter. And yeah, Reeves and Davis were unconscious for a stretch there. So I think, as I kind of talk it out, that kind of is what led into it. But this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a great series. Jokic had a masterclass. It's so ironic to hear Mark Jackson pretend to rave about Jokic. I mean, the fact that he's sitting there announcing when he didn't even put Jokic on his MVP ballot, it's just an embarrassment to the sport. I don't think there's any way you could watch that game last night and say this guy isn't the best player on the planet. I mean, he just continues to amaze me. He had a couple sloppy passes last night, but overall, I've said it probably 3 or 4 times already, so it's probably I'm overusing the word, but it was a Jokic masterclass. That's the best way to say it. Even when he kind of fell out of the game, at the end, he was able to come back, bring the team, hold the Lakers off, pretty much is what I'm trying to say. So it was a good game. There's so much to talk about here. If you probably can't tell, I'm kind of just flowing from point to point. I'm a little confused. I do think the Nuggets still get this series, but I think they need to win next. I think they need to win game 2. That's going to be an important one. If the Lakers can steal game 2 in Denver, then the series I would say is probably going 7. But as it stands, I do think the Nuggets are going to win this series in 6 games. So it's going to be a good one. But let me know what you thought about this game, because I don't know. I still need to talk it out. I need to think about, part of me as a fan, I'm like, how did the Lakers come back? I'm rooting for the Nuggets, by the way. I am not a fan of LeBron or AD or the Lakers, as being a Suns fan. And I'm a massive Jokic fan, even though they knocked us out of the playoffs. So, I'm rooting for the Nuggets. And I'm sitting here trying to reason, watching the game last night, what is going on? How is this happening? So let me know what you thought. And can't wait for game 2. Peace.